Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts for the power, performance, and reliability of a new Super Start battery. Visit O'Reillyauto.com.
Auto Parts.
This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. Today's discussion centers around the big money firms. This week, it's Goldman Sachs and Citigroup saying that the rally in the stock market can't last. So this is 14 stories that we're watching today. We'll take you through those. We'll take you through some others as well. We hope you learn something. We hope you enjoy this. First, outside of that issue, Cigna Healthcare dropped nearly 5% yesterday on the news that it's trying to, again, resurrect its merger with troubled insurer Humana. Cigna and United Health are still up about 7% year-to-date, so doing fine in the health insurance sector. Second, the Magnificent Seven, the big seven stocks that have taken up a huge amount of the sort of news in the room and have driven a lot of the growth of the S&P. There's a great article today on expecting that to continue, those to outperform the rest of the S&P. I thought it was a fascinating piece. Third, there's a story by Citi Capital, basically saying that the exposure to the S&P has reached levels where we often see a 10% drop. That's based on Citigroup strategic analyst. Fourth, NVIDIA jumped 4.25% yesterday and hits $3.53 trillion in market cap. Apple, by comparison, is at $3.6 trillion in market cap. Fifth, the markets point down today. We'll see if that lasts. Sixth, Goldman also says, like Citi did, that decades of big S&P gains are unlikely to continue. That period of time where we get these outsized gains is likely to not continue. Seventh, when the likes of Goldman and Citi and others say that the market won't keep on rocking and rolling, it reminds me that they're half right, half wrong all the time. Like a clock, twice a day it's right. But it doesn't really matter. What really matters is your allocation of stocks to bonds to cash so that you can live with the ups and downs either way. Eighth, Nike is down 25% year to date. Its new CEO, Elliott Hill, trying to reinvigorate Nike. We'll see how that goes. Similarly, Phil Knight, the founder of Nike, a big boost of Oregon football, is probably enjoying Oregon's success right now. The ninth story we're following is the stories we follow all the time of Warren Buffett, Berkshire's 5 biggest holdings, because quite frankly, you would have done great if you just bet on what Warren Buffett bets on or you just bet on the Magnificent Seven. But his 5 biggest holdings are Apple, Amex, Bank of America, Coca-Cola, and Chevron. 10th, Netflix is up 59% year-to-date, hit a record high yesterday. 11th, Wayfair dropped 9% yesterday. I love Wayfair. It's not a sentiment shared widely in my family. 12th, I did a podcast yesterday comparing the egos of Bob Iger and Charlemagne the God. Someone was offended by me talking about Charlemagne the God having a big ego. I don't even know Charlemagne the God at all. I just know anybody that sort of nicknames themselves the God seems to have a big ego. I just don't know. I don't mean anything by it. It's more just in passing. 13th, we have a list of our 12 most listened to guests at the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. I'll just go through 5 of them, not 12 of them. Those good Rick Kess and Matt Wolf of RSM, David Pivnik, Holly Buckley, Amber Walsh, Jeff Cockrell of McGuire Woods, and then a few others, Scott Colbert of Commerce Bank, Mitch Granger, Northwestern Mutual, Liz Hudson, EGH, Paul Swaney Group Capital, one of our most recent sponsored guests, Greg Marshall, Beacon Petty, BPOC, and Dylan Warner, Elevate Talent Advisor, also a new guest. Finally, 14th, we're thrilled to see the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast ranked this past week, the last couple of weeks, right with the Wall Street Journal podcast, the Bloomberg podcast, right in the top 5 to 10 of the Apple Business Review podcast. Just really happy with that. We've got limited sponsored podcast available for the first quarter of next year. But always feel free to message me for options, stuff like that. Thank you so much for listening to the Becker Private Equity Business Podcast. We'll be back with you later today. Thank you so much for listening.